Mineshaft by AP Indy. Mineshaft's a horse of the year who just keeps on delivering. He's got 7 Grade 1 winners so far, and you can add Senor Buscador's massive 2024 season to the highlight reel. What I love about Mineshaft is how his horses give you those long, sound careers time and time again. They train on and they just keep picking up checks. And then there's that really cool story about how he possibly could have been a Kentucky Derby winner if they had brought him back from Europe sooner. Still, he's more than made up for it. Stud with 2 champions, 7 total Grade 1s, 23 graded stakes winners. The list goes on. Weep No More, FNX, Bitumen, Sudden Breaking News, J-Boy's Echo, Hoist the Gold. Mineshaft's yearlings have brought up to 7 figures, and he passes on that AP Indy stamp that so many breeders crave. He's out of Prospector's Delight, a multiple Grade 1 winning mare, which only adds depth to an already loaded pedigree. All in all, a champion on the track and a champion in the breeding shed. Bo, one of your favorite horses, I would imagine. Weep No More, a Mineshaft. You're at all these sales. You're looking at horses. I would imagine that you had a good Mineshaft. When you see Mineshaft, you take one more extra look. What do you see when you look at the offspring of Mineshaft and how it relates to Weep No More?
Mineshafts, they all tend to be more classic distance types, right? Occasionally they can be later developing. I think a lot of times when you're looking at them in a sale, you don't have to have that finished product right away. I think that there's value in that, really. You can use your imagination a little bit, and these horses can really turn out to be nice, two-turn older types. And he's had horses of that nature his entire career, starting with It's Tricky dialed in, and then all the way up to this point in his career with Senor Buscador. I mean, he's producing.
Maggie, I'm not sure anybody looks at more horses than you do in the paddocks at Naira. You've seen a lot of them. What have you seen out of Mineshaft?
Yeah, a lot of them, because he's been around for such a long time, JK, a son of AP Indy. And what I notice about Mineshafts is that I keep seeing them year after year. He puts longevity into his progeny, and that's something that in this day and age, I think should be sought after, because I feel like he's the king of producing like Cigar Mile types of horses. Hoist the Gold, Senor Buscador ran second last year in 2023, and True Timber. So there's been so many horses throughout the years that you see have long racing careers. Yeah, he's not going to throw you that super fast, precocious 2-year-old, but he's going to produce a nice 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5, 6-year-old, because they just last. There's a durability that Mineshaft has passed on to his sons and daughters that I feel like several stallions around just don't possess. So I think Mineshaft, although he's getting up there, obviously he's still capable of producing a really nice horse that you'll have around for a long time.
Jack, you had a Grade 1 winner by Mineshaft and True Timber. I can imagine when you have success with a stallion, you start looking a little extra hard when they come by. What do you notice in these Mineshafts that maybe you saw in True Timber as well?
Jonathan, when True Timber came into the barn, he was a horse with a lot of presence to him. He's a very well-balanced, athletic horse. And when usually typical physical horses coming into the barn like that, you look, who's he by? He's by Mineshaft. You start to look at offsprings by Mineshaft, and had a lot of speed. And I think if you ask a lot of trainers, you want to see, what do you want to see in a stallion is speed, and he possessed speed, and he carried his speed over a distance of ground. And I think that's a testament to Mineshaft himself.
A lot of people that have talked about Mineshaft have talked about the kind of the soundness and the longevity, how they might not get you the quickest horse, in April as a 2-year-old, but they're going to give you a horse that can run at 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Absolutely, Jonathan. If you look for longevity, that's what you want in a stallion. And, you want to have these sound horses that can run over 3, 4, and 5 years old. And he possessed that, and he was extremely talented. And like I said, it goes back to his dad in Mineshaft.
Mike, you had the honor of riding one of Mineshaft's best babies in FNX, who ran into American Pharoah, unfortunately, and that fall day in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but he never disappointed. This horse always showed up.
He was your ultimate blue-collar horse, man. I mean, he came to work every single time. I mean, even in defeat, I mean, he was always second or third. And look who he had to run against that year. I mean, a Triple Crown winner, an American Pharaoh. I mean, but I mean, he beat some of the greats and beat most of them, other than American Pharaoh. I mean, at one time or another, he was just a fun horse to ride, and to ride for Jimmy Jerkins, who I go way back with the Jerkins family. It was pretty neat. And he's a horse that I like. I always knew that no matter what, he was going to give me 100%.
Well, I didn't think we were going to get into politics here, but politics might have cost Mineshaft a Kentucky Derby. Tell that story. I think it's so awesome.
So, Mr. Farish was the U.S. ambassador to Great Britain under the George H.W. Bush administration. So, he went over to England and he brought a few horses with him, Mineshaft being one of them. And he was trained over there by John Gosden, broke his maiden, was placed in a stakes in France. But John Gosden told Mr. Farish, this horse is going to be much better racing in America on the dirt than he is over here on the turf. So sent him back to the US, and he ended up being champion older horse and horse of the year at 4. So we don't know what he could have done at 3 if he had stayed in America.
Oh, that's hilarious. I've never heard that story before. And the one thing I'll say about Mineshaft and what I've seen from him is, and it's a word we've used for a lot of these horses, but I think that it says a lot about the type of horses and stallions that stand at Lanes End, is that his consistency. He's just a consistent horse that shows up on the racetrack with his offspring. But the thing about him is they show up for quite some time. You're going to get horses into their 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old year still producing at a high level. You get horses like FNX that were just so gritty. Horses like Senor Buscador who come, thrust onto the scene as they get older. True Timber and others. He's just a really consistent horse that horses just seem to keep getting better for him.
Yeah, he does, and a testament to the soundness that he instills in his horses, and just produces great horses like that. But then he also produces great fillies, and I think that his legacy be seen through his broodmares as well. I think he's going to be a great broodmare sire, and that longevity that he instills will be passed down to future generations.